couple of chicks here. This one is dry. I'm going to put the other one in water just so he gets a little bit more moisture inside him. So this one's nice and wet. There you go. He does seem to like these chicks when they're quite moist. Look at him taking that. Lovely. So this hawk is at fat weight, and as I said before, this is just my journey, and this is the way that I've been keeping the hawk during his molt. If I see this hawk getting stressed, and you know when they're stressed because when you go in there they're flapping all over the place and you can't get near them. If I go in there and just get some with fist, then I'll get him out. But if he does get to the stage where he's flapping all over the place and getting stressed, I would leave him. And for anyone that's getting a hawk, you can leave them alone. That's what, as I say, 99% of people do. They just leave them in the mews or in a seclusion, or in a seclusion, or they leave them in a seclusion. Now the hawk will just go totally wild, and at the end of the molt, so he's had enough now, he's throwing this down. Yeah, you can have that. So he's eating as much as he wants. He's got sort of a golf ball size crop there. They go completely wild, and then when it comes to getting them out, you just drop the weight down within the mews, and then get them out and start working them on a creance and whatever. But I do this with this one to sort of keep videos going and experimenting, really. So the way I see it, as long as we're getting an end result, and my end result is hunting this hawk with a completely new set of feathers by end of September, because we're not going out before then anyway. So if this is slowing him down a little bit, it doesn't matter. But I will say, I haven't seen anything to worry about keeping my hawk manned. But you may get a hawk or have a hawk that you can't do this. That when you go in that mews, even a female Harris hawk might be totally different. You go in there and they're all over the place, flapping about and jumping about, and you could sort of damage feathers that are coming down in the blood. So you have got to be careful. But I think with a Harris hawk, they're certainly going to be different to a goshawk. So if you had a goshawk at fat weight, they ain't going to have a proper molt. So what do you do with your Harris hawks? I'm not talking about goshawks, falcons or any other species, owls. I'm talking about Harris hawks, because that's what I do. I've got this Harris hawk here. I've had him a few years now. We're really successful during the hunting seasons. We try to hunt 6 if not 7 days a week. Also, we've got a chest freezer, and that chest freezer can be full to the top, which is plenty to keep this hawk going through the molt. And if we've got surplus, as I say, I've been giving it to other falconers that breed, or now I've got Willow, she will eat some bits and pieces as well, so the hawk sort of looks after us all. So this way of keeping a hawk through the molt is a bit unusual, and maybe slightly controversial to some people, because most people do leave the hawks alone. I will say, as I've said before, this is harder than just leaving them alone. And if you leave them alone, put food in the chute and they go wild, as I say, you can get them back okay. I'm doing this just to keep videos going, to show you what a Harris hawk can be like during the molt. But my endeavour is to keep this going, and then just before we start hunting again, I'm going to man this hawk so much before I start reducing him that I'm hoping that I don't have to reduce him too much, because if you leave a hawk in seclusion, then you've got to bring their weight down further than you probably will do if you're manning it, which is, it's okay, but then you've got to over time bring the weight up as the hawk's getting more familiar with what you're doing. But I'm hoping that this hawk, I hope to end up with a hawk that's already familiar and happy, and I bring that weight down not as much as you would need to normally, and start flying him and end up flying him quite heavy. Now I've flown this fat weight now is 112 and a half, 112. That's what he's ended up at. Now why do I weigh him? I don't need to, but I weigh because I'm interested to see what food does and what food's doing at the beginning of the molt and what it's doing now. So at the beginning of the molt, he was eating full cropfuls, large cropfuls, and the weight went up to £2, 2 ounces. Kept feeding him, then he's eating smaller crops, and then the weight starts dropping down again. So he's sort of now got to his, what I'd say his fat weight is, eating what he wants. He's just ate what he wanted now, and he's got like a golf ball size crop, and he threw the rest down. So he's now weighing £1.12 to £1.12 and a half. I think he's about 112 today, so he could get heavier. So just reposition yourself, mate. Forgot what I was going to say now. Yes, I remember what I was going to say now. So this hawk, I've flown him at £1.11. Now £1.11, and his fat weight's £1.12. You can see what I've brought him up to. Probably most hawks should have been maybe £1.7, £1.6.5, who knows? But at that fat weight, but this hawk, because I do this and keep him manned up, I think that's why he's flying at a higher weight. Does it really matter? No, it doesn't. You could start off at a lower weight and then slowly over the season bring him up. So he's just had a rouse there. He's quite comfortable. He's at fat weight, and I would say he's pretty chilled out really. Yeah, sometimes when I go in his mews, he's not as readily wanting to get on my fist. Sometimes, but sometimes he just step on. Never force him to do anything he doesn't want to do. If I left him in there, he would be quite happy, yet he would just get more wild and more wild, eventually not coming to me at all. So yes, I am sort of forcing him, but it's not really a force, it's just a little coaxing, because you can't make these hawks do what they don't want to do. If he didn't want to get on the fist, he would flap all around that mews, clinging onto the corners, going mad. He would certainly not just sit on your fist. Once you get hold of him, he'll sit on his fist. I put the mews jesses in, and out we come. There's a guy in Texas, I'm hoping Dave Sharp, Falconer, is going to send me a picture, but he's got a wild trapped Harris hawk, and he has got it in a mews, letting it molt out, but he does get it out and feed it off his fist, and that's a wild one. There are quite a few people that will do it this way. Then the benefits for me, this is just my personal journey, the benefits for me are the fact that if it's a little slower, at least I can reduce his weight less and get cracking hunting at some higher weights. you've got to at some point be cut free and do what you want to do. I know I'm doing a few things that probably other people don't do. Probably get better systems than what I've got here. But for me, it's all working, so I stick to it. Maybe I'll try other things at some point, but for now, I'm on my journey, and I think what I'm doing is working between me and this hawk. If I'd have left that hawk in the mews, when you get them out after a molt, the beaks are open and they're panting, and they're not comfortable. You can see that this hawk is okay. None of them liked really to be, as they say, petted or anything like that, or even touched too much. And he's having a little chat with me now, saying don't do that. But anyway, I'm going to go and pop him on his perch now, let him have a little bit of sunshine. What's the other benefits you can see from this? Well, I keep an eye on his feet. I keep an eye on him. I mean, you could see their eyes and the way they're standing in the mews, but the benefit for me is I can have a good look. Let us know in the comments what you think, whether you have always put yours in a seclusion, whether you've left him in the mews, whether you've let him in an aviary so they can see what's going on in the garden, whether you've manned them up, whether you've brought them out and put them on a perch or a block. What is the nature of your hawk? Does it allow you to get it out? If it's a female, is it a little bit more aggressive to you? I understand they are. I don't know, I haven't had one. I've had this hawk. I go out with my mate or mates, and they fly merlins, so I see all that going on. I know what they do to hatch them and breed them. Same with the peregrines, and so I'll get involved with all this stuff. But I've only had house hawk. I've had other birds, you know, different species, but not birds of prey. If I can get myself going, I might one day get a female sparrowhawk. I'd like to do that, but what I don't want to do is let something take over and neglect what I've got here, because that's what I said I wouldn't do. I didn't want to use them as a stepping stone. They are a great bird when you think you can get them hunting off a fist, soaring around, following on, very versatile, and if you get these fit, they are phenomenal. You alright, Jim? You alright? Yeah. There's his lovely new tail feather there. That's not far from the bottom. Look at that. We'll leave you alone now, mate. Enjoy the sun. Okay? You enjoy the sun. Just putting over a bit of food there. I think what I might do is see if I can get hold of Dave Sharp from the Falconry channel, and see if he's kind enough to give us a few opinions on this topic of moulting and what you do with your hawks and falcons. So I'll send him a little message now and see how we get on. Hi Dave.
Hi Pete. Interesting stuff. You just caught me. I've just finished feeding the snakes. I'm just having a quick cup of tea. Crazy dog lady mug. That'll be the wife's then. Anyway, yes, birds do molt differently depending on whether they're free lofted in full seclusion compared to tethered, for instance, or handled through the molt. So our birds at work, they're handled through the molt because they're on flying weight and they're flowing through the molt in the summer months, and they gradually molt slowly, and then come autumn or winter many of them get a rest, and even though it's now early winter, the food go up, they might be just chilled out in their aviaries and they'll molt out, they'll finish their molt pretty quick. When I ran a team of about 10 birds from home for Raptor Exotics before the Falconry Centre was mine, and we took over the Falconry Centre, different birds molted in different ways. So rightly or wrongly, my falcons molted tethered. I was handling them twice a day, putting them out to weather, putting them away in the mews at night. The falcons, parrot reared, they molted pretty cleanly, but not necessarily a full molt. Owls, a different story. They were imprints and owls in aviaries. Kites again in a black coat was in an aviary, no problem. Harrisawk didn't make a lot of difference. My Harrisawk was work most of the summer, like the ones at work anyway. But you do see it more with nervous birds. So goshawks are the best example for sure. Golden eagle again, they don't do a full molt, so there's no gauge there really. But goshawks being much more nervous, and once their weight creeps up and they're not interacting with as much, parrot-reared goshawk especially, they're not like a Harrisawk. So they become more skittish and nervous. And I've molted them in full seclusion, but I've certainly molted one a couple of years tethered, handled twice a day, exposed to everything going on at home and in the garden like all the other birds. An example would be, I don't know, I'll be sawing a plank of wood in the garden, team of birds, 1 foot up, all looking with their heads cocked, the falcons, what's going on, this is interesting. Goshawk up and down, and you'd have to have it away from where you're working. They're a different bird. So a goshawk in seclusion, not seeing anything that's, I guess, stressing it out, some kind of stress, will molt pretty much a full molt, more or less, every year, like most of the smaller birds, medium-sized birds do. But the goshawk molted, and I have actually done this with 2 goshawks, they never do a full molt. Parrot-reared goshawk, molted, tethered, handled a couple of times a day. I guess it is a stress thing. Their stress levels, good, not necessarily a bad thing, but they've got we're all living with levels of stress. They would never do a complete molt, versus a parrot-reared goshawk in seclusion, fed through a food chute, left alone, pretty much a full molt. So there is a sort of a level of stress. I don't think it's to do with feeding. Sometimes birds will feed more on the glove. Some falcons will feed more on the glove actually than they will have just fed ad lib in the molt. So it's not really just their feeding, but for sure a nervous type of bird like a goshawk, I think, puts on more body weight when it's left in seclusion to just pick up food. It will feed even if it's just fed on the perch. It'll eat until its hunger's gone, its appetite's gone, but then it'll be sort of more back on the perch. Just a different bird. Harrisawks, I was talking to a guy the other day about birds of prey in general, and you know, we're all different. He said, as we say about birds getting nervous when they molt, and he said, well, the obvious thing is, you just go in with them, spend a bit of time with them, let them come into the glove and have a bit of food. So that is a thing. People do that. For me, if I had the choice, I'd just put them in seclusion, and that's a lot of that's just, I guess, laziness. It's like, you've got a few months off, haven't you? Bit of cleaning, bit of feeding, haven't got to bother. But if you interact with these birds, certainly sociable species like a Harrisawk, an intelligent species like a Harrisawk, I don't see any harm with that. And as you have shown, it makes no difference to the molt. If you put your Harrisawk in seclusion for 3 months, and then you think, I'm going to go in there and try and feed it and do some work, that thing will probably have a complete meltdown and will literally be bouncing off the walls like any other bird. Seclusion I guess it's like going into prison, into solitary. They become institutionalized. Even birds that you keep, you interact with on flying weight, if you leave those birds in their aviaries, in their pens, in their free lofts too long, a lot of animals as well, not just birds, they seem to be kind of fearful of the outside world. They like it in there. Ugh, they don't even want to come out. But interacting with them, as you've proven with a Harrisauks, as long as you're not stressing them and you carry on interacting with them, you don't just leave them and then suddenly start. They're okay with that. They'll tell you, not like they either eat off the glove or they won't. They'll tell you what mood they're in. Crucially, they'll tend to do that full molt. Something like a goshawk. I'm just using the goshawk and the Harrisauks. They're the best prime examples. Put that thing away, somewhere chilled out where it's not getting disturbed. It will molt quicker and fuller and eat more, put more weight on, and all those things sort of drive together. Yeah, my usual waffle there. I hope that helped. No more snakes to feed, but we've got to go out and see the granddaughter. Catch you later.
Well, thanks. That was brilliant. A real good insight there, Dave. Very much appreciated. We look forward to seeing you at the Falconers Gathering 2025. That's on Facebook. If you have a look, you'll find out all about it, and on Dave's channel. Dave, from all of us here, have a lovely day with Jackie and the granddaughter, and we'll see you soon. There we are. He's going to have a nice bit of pigeon today. Going to try him on a pigeon heart first. Just got him out, so he's a little bit edgy, is what I say. He's having a little look round, let him settle down a bit, and we'll see if he'll eat a nice pigeon heart, then a bit of pigeon. But just got him out, so he's having a look round, checking the surroundings out. What I'll do, I think I'll pop him on the perch just for a few minutes to settle down, and then I'll pick him up again and see if he'll eat a bit of pigeon heart and a bit of pigeon from my fist. I've just thought of another negative to getting your hawk out during the fat weight. If you lost your hawk for any reason, you won't get it back. So again, be very, very careful. Make sure always in the safety position, you're tied up. Check your anklets, check your jessies. All got to be bang on, as it should be anyway. So I think if I'd have tried to feed Woody straight from the mews, at that point, looking at his reaction, I don't think he would have done. What I'm going to do now is walk to my garage where he knows the food is, and just see if he follows me when I walk that way. So you see he's looking where I'm going. So I'm just standing round here for a second, and then we'll see what his reaction is. And look, he's looking to see if there's a bit of food there. Yeah, you can tell. So I'll pick him up now, and we'll see if he'll eat a little bit of this pigeon. So just sat down. So he hasn't been out long, a couple of minutes on the perch, just to change his mind, because once a hawk gets something in its mind, it won't let it go. So I could see it was going to be a bit resistant to eat. So I'll put it down. That changes his frame of mind, even though it's only a few seconds. Then picked him up again. So I've sat down, and now he's doing a little bit of checking around again. So he's got to get settled. Okay, I'm going to try him now on a pigeon's heart. Straight down. Great bit of quality food there for him. And now I'm going to give him a lovely big piece of pigeon. Lovely bit of red meat. These were healthy pigeon. They've been frozen There's no bacteria. I mean, you can't kill virus in a fridge. It would take over a year to freeze a virus out. But as for bacteria, the freezer will do that. Now, it's up to you whether you feed them pigeon, but I do. My mate's been feeding pigeon for 35 years and he's not had no trouble. So these are steel shot pigeon. So there's no lead involved. Lovely bit of red meat. These will put weight on a hawk. Not really a natural diet, because they would probably be like rat and mainly rabbits, I suppose. But certainly a great bit of food. So this is one breast of a pigeon, one side. I thawed it out overnight, just until the skin was thawed and the meat is still fairly frozen, and then divided it up with an axe. Here, mate, you can have that, Willow. And then removed all the internal organs whilst they were still frozen, so there's no mess. They just come out in one frozen lump. And then soak the meat in warm water for 10 minutes and then away we go. A few feathers on there for casting. I too like a bit of pigeon. Seal it in a nice skillet and just cook it quickly. Bit of salt and pepper. Beautiful meat, almost like a steak. Woody's really tearing into this. Nice, loves a bit of pigeon. As you've seen before, not so keen on the pheasant, but neither am I. What I'm going to do now is pop him on his perch, and this little bit here, he doesn't want to eat it off my fist now, so I will give it to him on his perch just to see whether he'll eat it or throw it down. If he throws it down, then Willow will have it. So there's another feather there coming down right on the edge there, you can see that. Another one coming down. So I'll just pop that there. And we'll see whether Woody's going to eat that or throw it. So he is actually eating a little bit more. So you can see now there's no meat on there, but what this hawk's doing is plucking all them feathers out and throwing them on the floor. They love doing that. I've known him to catch a pigeon in a tree once and literally plucked it clean and hadn't touched the meat. But there ain't much meat on that now. And Woody, I'm standing about a foot away, but he's cleaning all them bits off, and pretty much whether he'll eat that bone I'm not sure. He's very capable of putting that down. So he's eating a little bit of casting there. He's eating a few feathers, a little bit of fat, and that's probably quite natural. He wants a little bit to cast. Will he swallow that bone? He's capable of it, or will he feed it to Willow? He's giving it to Willow.